Are you listening? Damn.
James Skrmetta Show podcast. I had to wait on the intro there because of this lightning storm I'm potting in. It's an absolute thunderstorm, lightning, hurricane situation. So we may lose power. I may get electrocuted. I'm also 4 cups of coffee in because I was so excited to do this podcast, so I might mess up and have a heart attack right here on stream. Right here in the middle of the pod. So a lot can go wrong in this podcast. This podcast, we got a lot to talk about, man. In this podcast alone, we're going to talk about Bryce Harper's mega deal with the Phillies. We're going to talk about Russell Westbrook getting touched by a young Nuggets fan. The Girl Scout cookie hero who bought $540 worth of Girl Scout cookies, then got arrested. 2 people getting arrested at a crab legs buffet in neighboring state Alabama. I didn't realize we still had the music on. Neighboring state Alabama. And Johnny Manziel getting released from the Canadian Football League. So we got a lot to talk about. I'm excited. Also, little note, guys. Little note. This upcoming week is Mardi Gras, where I'm from. Mardi Gras. I was wondering if you were trying to keep that in. No, screw the pooch there, man. And guys, remember the show is live now. So if you're listening later on YouTube or something and you want to get involved live, Twitch links are down below and you can get involved and talk and chat directly during the show. All these shows are recorded absolutely live. But next week is Mardi Gras. Next week's Mardi Gras, and I will be out. I will be on quote-unquote vacation from this reality mostly. Vacation sponsored by Tito's vodka mostly. But I will be out of the studio Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So Tuesday will probably be the next pod, Tuesday night. Mardi Gras night, actually. Because I don't do much on Mardi Gras itself, but I go in the weekend before. So little note. We're also dropping a ton of clips from the podcast. So if you don't want to catch the entire podcast, you want to pick the clips. We're also doing that. Check Twitter and all that stuff for the YouTube link there. All right, let's do this thing, man. Let's do it. Bryce Harper, the saga is finally over. Him and the Phillies have agreed to also a house cleaning note. Also, we have a Reddit thread now on Reddit. If you are a fan of Reddit, it's just my name, James Skrmetta. Go to the Reddit thread. You can put anything you want in there, and it can be used on the show. So any news things you want to see, I have a bunch of segment ideas, man. Like I want to do a segment where we take pictures of people's food that they cook and put on Facebook that low-key looks like garbage. Want to have a segment where we take a bunch of those pictures and just break them down here on the show. So a bunch of stuff, a bunch of ideas floating around. But if you want to get any kind of content put on the show, then slide that thing on the Reddit, and we will fit it in, man. We'll fit it in. So Bryce Harper, the biggest free agent arguably in 20 years, is finally with a team. People weren't really sure if he would get on a team. People weren't really sure, if the Nationals would offer him or if someone else would swoop in. And I think, honestly, he was asking for way too much money. I just don't think Harper is as good as he thinks he is. And I think a lot of what Harper brings to a team is marketability. He brings like ticket sales and TV deals or whatever, and primetime games and jersey sales. But that's really hard to quantify in a contract. If you're a team like the Yankees, how much marketability do you really need? You're the Yankees. So how much does that tag on to Harper's price tag? I just choked on my tongue. Guys, I almost just died right there. That's good. That's good radio, man. That's how you know we don't edit things. We just leave it in there. We just rip it live and let it rip. Woo! We almost had a scary situation. I almost went full Chris Farley there for a second. But so if you're like Nolan Arenado gets dealt this huge contract, but Arenado is way better than Harper. Way better than Harper. So when you see a contract like that, and you're Harper, or you're at least teams negotiating with Harper, then you have to be thinking, how much are we really going to offer this guy, right? So what he actually got was 13 years, $330 million, no opt-out clauses at all from team or player, and that deal is the largest in MLB history. Now, obviously, per year, I think it's like the 14th or 15th highest salary per year. It's like $24 million a year. Some people are making over $30 million a year. So Harper on a year-to-year basis isn't getting paid the most, or even a top 10, but the length of the contract is what people are freaking out about. 13-year commitment, no opt-out from the team, no opt-out from the player. That is a ton of commitment. Now to that I'll say, who gives a damn? Who cares? 13 years? 13 years from now, the world probably won't even exist. The city of Philadelphia probably won't even be here. Who knows in 13 years? We'll probably have robot overlords at that point. Like, does it really matter what the hell's going to happen in 13 years? Especially in sports. If the Philadelphia Phillies win back-to-back World Series next year and the next year, and then they lose every single game for 11 years straight, no one will care. Sports is nuts like that. These long-term 13-year, 10-year, 9-year deals, it's like hey man, talk to me at the end of it. I'll see you then. Smell you later. When you go to Best Buy and you buy like a TV or something, and the guy goes, all right man, it's interest-free financing for the next 216 months, you're sitting there like, joke's on you, Best Buy. I just made out like a bandit. I'm paying $40 a month for the next 950 years. Who cares? That's how these teams are with these players. Now, as good as Harper is, and Harper's a strange case, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of more down on Bryce Harper than most people probably are, because I think Harper is a really good player. It's a really, really good player, obviously. Former MVP, former Rookie of the Year, stud prospect. He's been good everywhere he goes. But how good is he really compared to $330 million? Let's take a damn look. Once in his career, he has had over 100 RBIs, and he had exactly 100. Think about that. He's actually never had over 100 RBIs. He's had exactly 100. And you're paying this dude $330 million. He's had over 30 home runs twice in his career. And this is supposed to be a huge power hitter. So we got 2 seasons of over just 30 home runs and 1 season of 100 RBIs. Like, that right there is not that impressive. Batting average wise, past couple years, 249, 319, 243, 330, 273, 274, 270. That's actually his entire career. Yeah, the 330 and the 343, or the 330 and the 319 are sweet, but man, the rest of it, pretty average. 270, less than 100 RBIs, and less than 30 home runs. Man, that's bang average, especially for an outfielder. There's corner outfielders all over the league. So to demand that kind of money for that kind of productivity and not a elite, you're not bringing elite defense. Whew, man, I don't know. And then it's not like he's stealing a lot of bags. I mean, you're talking about his whole career, he's stolen more than 20 bags once, and it was 21. He had 13 last year, 4 the year before, 21, 6, 2. Oh, man, I don't know. Marketability-wise, absolutely no doubt about it. Marketability, yeah. Yeah, Bryce Harper is a bad man, Absolutely no doubt. He'll bring some people to the ballpark. He'll bring some people to your team. You'll have fans because of Bryce Harper. He'll be a talking point. You'll be on radio shows. Hell, the Phillies are on this show. If you would ask me if the Phillies would ever be on my show, I'd say no, probably not. I don't want to talk about the Phillies, but now we're talking about it on what, the third show of our young career. And good for them, I guess, but man, they paid a lot in advertising. That's pretty much what Bryce Harper is. He's one big-ass advertisement. So I don't know, man. Next story. Ooh, the Girl Scouts. Damn, the Girl Scouts. Man, the Girl Scouts done got this man. It's Girl Scout season, boys. Girl Scout, and I don't mean like that. I don't mean like R. Kelly. Girl Scout season for R. Kelly is very, very different than Girl Scout season for you or me. You know what I mean? R. Kelly, man, I'm not gonna lie to you. R. Kelly, Girl Scout season for me means Samoas, tag-alongs, do-si-dos. Girl Scout season for R. Kelly, that means like Sarah, Ashley, Candace. That's what that means for R. Kelly. So I don't mean that. It's Girl Scout cookie season, and for a man in South Carolina, things went really, really wrong. Really wrong. This guy in Greenville, South Carolina. Can only imagine what goes on up and down. But a Greenville, South Carolina so these two girls are sitting outside of a store. I think it was it a Best Buy? I don't know where it was. It was just a store. Just a store. And these two girls are outside of the store hawking their cookies. And if you know anything about Girl Scout cookies, they have marketing and salesmanship on a million. I don't know how they do it. They have to train these girls. They are ruthless salesmen. Have you ever seen the Alec Baldwin speech in Glengarry Glen Allen Ross or whatever it's called, the movie? What's the name of the movie? Glengarry Ross? I feel like I just said 5 different names. Glengarry Glen Allen Ross. No way that's the name of the movie. But anyways, Alec Baldwin gives this incredible speech about salesmen. Closers close. Closers get coffee. Always be closing. A, always B, C, closing. That speech. And man, the title of the movie is driving me insane. But so these girls have to watch that speech every single morning when they wake up. These little demons, man, they wake up and they put on their brown vest. That brown vest to them is like the gladiator sheath, like his helmet. The scene, like Russell Crowe putting on his gladiator's helmet to go kill some lion, is the same damn thing as these girls putting on that brown vest with those pins on it. So these girls are out there selling their wares, and this fella goes out there and bought more than 120 boxes of Girl Scout cookies so that these girls could escape the cold. All right. And so he's 46 years old. And according to, this is all alleged, of course, but he got scooped up the next day by the DEA in a 22-man raid. They raided this group of alleged dope dealers. And this guy, I'll tell you this, he wasn't just slinging a little bit of weed to on a college campus. News outlets report the DEA say 46-year-old, this fellow, I don't want to say his name because I'm kind of a fan of his, was arrested on charges including conspiracy to distribute fentanyl and cocaine. The agency says this fellow is the same. Okay, yeah. So he paid $540 cash to these girls, and the indictment last week says he is several suspects in an ongoing drug investigation. He and 10 other people conspired to import drugs from Mexico in late 2018. So these guys have been being watched for a hot minute. And he posts this pic on his social medias feeling like a champion, walking out of there with 120 boxes of Girl Scout cookies. Jumped into his, I can only guess, lifted Escalade. And he drove home with a smile on his face, feeling like God's champion. And next day, the damn DEA comes knocking on his door. Social media, if it doesn't tell you anything else, guys, this should prove to you that you can't go out there and just keep on flossing. You can't go on social media and just you can't go out there and look like a god and the DEA won't notice. This guy posted this pic and the DEA sitting there going, hold on, $540 cash to these Girl Scouts? Hey, is this that guy that's supposed to be selling all that coke? Next thing you know, boom, it's over. It used to be chinchilla jackets, Cadillacs, pimp hats, and front row seats to boxing fights. That's what used to get these guys in trouble. Now, what's getting them in trouble? What's showing off? What are they doing to flex? Samoas? We went from front row seats to boxing classes and Lamborghinis and Cadillacs to Samoas and tagalongs and do-si-dos? Is that what the criminals of this world are flexing with? Is that what they were? They're replacing gold jewelry with peanut butter cookies. Damn. Now, I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm finding it real hard to hate on this guy. I'm finding it real hard to hate on this man. I really wish he was selling something else. I really wish he was doing something else. I really wish he'd have been like jaywalking or not paying his taxes or something, just not a big deal. Even like a fight or something. Even like armed robbery. Something that's just we've all been there. But damn, working with the Mexican drug cartel to sell fentanyl and cocaine, those are some serious crimes. But you can tell this guy's got a heart of gold. You can tell this man, it just really goes to show you, you know? It really goes to show you that inside everybody has a little heart of gold. You know, yeah, some people's hearts are as cold as Thin Mints, but some people's hearts are burning up with warmth and friendship and love. And this guy's was burning up with friendship and love. I want to hang out with this guy. I'm going to go ahead and say it. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it right here on the podcast. I'm with this guy. I'm team this guy. His drug name or whatever, he was known as Fat. I'm team Fat. Let's get some hashtag team Fat. I would chill with this guy so hard. Because you know why? I guarantee you, if we were chilling at his house and we were just hanging out, I don't know, counting money or something, whatever drug lords do, reloading guns, I don't know what they do. If we were sitting at the house reloading guns, and I was like, man, hey, Fat, you know what I'm feeling right now? I'm feeling like a strawberry cheesecake blizzard from Dairy Queen. I guarantee you, Fat would be like, dude, I'm down. And we'd jump in Fat's Cadillac Escalade, and we'd drive to Dairy Queen. And you know what Fat would do? He'd pay for my blizzard. Yeah, he would. He'd drive there. He'd pay for my blizzard. He'd hand it to me. What would he get? The Oreo. Fat is so classy. He'd just get the Oreo. He'd just get the Oreo regular blizzard while I got the strawberry cheesecake. And he'd eat his, and I'd eat mine on the way back, and we'd laugh. Absolute heart of gold on this guy. Man, it's so crazy. These guys get wrapped up in the game. They get wrapped up in the game, but damn, like, they're just good guys. They're just good guys. You know, just because they're poisoning the world with drugs, just because they're ruining the future, destroying the world with cocaine and fentanyl, does that mean they're bad people? No. I mean, let's go to chat real quick. Let's go to chat real quick and see what chat's got to say about Fat. Chat said this man got busted over some Thin Mints. Thin Mints are really good though. Thin Mints, you know, I used to hate Thin Mints. Well, not hate them, but I wasn't a big fan of the minty chocolate. I'm not a big fan of mint chocolate. But man, once I figured out that you could put Thin Mints in the freezer, it was over with. The freezer Thin Mints compared to the regular Thin Mints, you're talking about, it's a whole nother level. It's a whole nother level. Freezer Thin Mints, 10 out of 10. Regular Thin Mints that have been sitting in your pantry, 3 out of 10, maybe. Samoa's, my personal favorite, but I'm a huge coconut fan. I love Almond Joys. I love Mounds. If you don't like coconut, obviously not for you. Do-si-dos, Tagalongs, the red one. What's the red box? Our Tagalongs, the 2 peanut butter ones, pretty whatever. The shortbread ones, the blue box, get out of here. Shortbread, Girl Scout cookies, get the hell out of here. Let's see what else chat has to say before we go to the next story. Hashtag I stand with Fat. Fat would buy the Dairy Queen. He'd buy every flavor. Dude, he would, man. He would. God, pray for Fat, dude. Pray for Fat. All right, what's the next story? The Russell Westbrook. Okay, so last night we had a situation on our hands where the Oklahoma City Thunder were playing the Denver Nuggets in Denver, in Colorado, and Russell Westbrook took shot, was next to the stands, got fouled. A young kid, I'm not sure how old, a young kid touched him, and Russell wasn't looking, so Russell turned around like, what the hell, who's touching me? Let's go ahead and watch it. Y'all want to just watch it? If you're listening on YouTube or a podcast or your favorite way to listen, then sorry. But let's check it out. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. Producing my own show type tings. All right. Let's watch. Here we go. I'm going to turn it up so everyone can hear.
And they're going to get Adam on an illegal screen. And you see Jokic there working on a triple-double.
Yeah, and Jokic is 4 for 6 from the floor for the three-point line, excuse me. And I tell you what, the big fella's shooting it like that, he is a handful. Yeah, Russell does a nice job of running into a small little fan there.
Let me tell you what happened here, boys. Let me tell you what happened here. Bottom line, Russell had to daddy up. That's all this was. Russell had to daddy up. Russell had to teach this kid just some boundaries. These kids, man, these kids nowadays, and especially front row seat kids at Nuggets games, these kids can just do whatever the hell they want. These kids are flossing. They're playing Fortnite till 2 in the morning. I blame a lot of this on Fortnite, to be totally honest. They're V-Bucksing. They're buying mobile games with their parents' credit cards. They're wearing Supreme hats and Supreme sweatshirts. They're watching a lot of Rice Gum YouTube videos. These kids don't know where the boundaries are. And Big Russ had to daddy up. If I would have done this when I was a kid, my dad would have snatched me so fast and ripped me down in that chair. Oh man. Whenever I used to act up as a kid in like a grocery store or a restaurant or just a public setting at all, my mom wasn't afraid to give me that death grip. You know the death grip. She just grab like right here on your arm. Just grab your arm and squeeze. Didn't have to say a word. Just grabs a hold of the arm, and you can feel your arm like disintegrating as they're squeezing. Grab the hold of that arm, squeeze, and just look. Not even say a word. And you knew you better quit acting a fool. And that's what happened with this kid. This kid just got daddied up by Russell. And I don't blame Russell. Like, how's he supposed to know who it is? His back was to the kid. This kid gave him a little left jab. Russell turns around, probably thinking 90% of the people in the front row are liquored up 45-year-old, businessmen or directors or something. So he's thinking some liquored up dude is getting cross with him. He's playing in Denver, so he knows that most of the people aren't his people, his fans, not Thunder people. They're Nuggets. So he knows, or he's thinking, that some liquored up 46-year-old plastic surgeon had one too many Cosmopolitans and gave him a little tap. I'd be pretty upset too. You don't want to feel like an animal. You don't want to feel like you're in a zoo. You don't want to feel like there's a reason, like at zoos, you can't touch the animals. There's a fourth wall. You can't break that. So I don't blame Russell Westbrook for kind of being like, whoa, hold on a second. Who's touching me? I think when he turned around and he saw it was a 10-year-old boy, he saw it was a child, that's when you saw Russell just kind of pat him and say, hey man, it's no big deal, but just try not to do that. And I think good on Russell. I think he handled it really, really well. I don't blame him at all for turning and going, hold up. And I also don't blame him, or I'm proud of him for realizing it was a child and not being mean about it, not freaking out about it, just kind of going over to the kid, patting him and saying, hey man, in the future, let's try and not do that, I think he handled it great. And I guarantee you that kid learned a very important lesson. I went to a WrestleMania one year. WrestleMania 24. Sat right on the ramp, me and a friend of mine. And the friend was sitting like on the actual ramp. And Chavo Guerrero Jr., if you don't know who that is, look it up. Luchador wrestler. At this point, he was pretty deep into his career. It was kind of just a has-been at this point. He was walking down the ramp. He was walking really, really close to the ramp. And in wrestling, it's a little different. In wrestling, you can really get at these people. You can really talk to these people. You can stick your hand out for a high five, but you're not going to touch them or anything. So my friend Chavo stopped right next to the ramp. Right next to the ramp. And he was basically shoulder to shoulder with my friend. I was kind of like on the inside. And my friend didn't touch him or anything, but he just said, Chavo. And I don't know why, but Chavo heard him. Chavo heard him. And Chavo looked over at my friend. He looked like dead at him. He stopped doing his whole thing, looked dead at him. And my friend was shocked. And all my friend could muster, and we joke about it to this day, but all he could muster, he looked at him right in the eyes. He pointed at Chavo Guerrero Jr. and he said, I don't like you. And I'm sitting right there, and I swear the whole arena went totally quiet. I think everyone left because the only two people in the arena were Chavo Guerrero and my friend. And Chavo looked right back at him and kind of like leaned in, like close enough that they kind of smell each other. Like their aftershave was kind of like connecting. Like, you know how oceans, they don't go into each other or whatever. That's like that. You can tell where the two bodies of water are like pushing up against each other. That's like what their aftershave was doing. And Chavo looked at him and goes, you know what? I don't like you either, and kept on walking. And I think about that probably every other day. I think about that. So I don't blame this kid for getting involved, but he got a little too involved, and Russell had to daddy up. Next story. Let's go to the next story. Whew, this story hits close to home. Let's go down south, shall we? Let's catch up with chat real quick. Crafty, what's up, dude? This wasn't a big deal at all. A little 10-year-old boy was shell-shocked and touched him. Yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal. He just had to get daddied up. He just had to learn real quick. You can't be out there touching strangers. All right. So in Alabama, I think this was in Huntsville. Yeah, Huntsville, Alabama. Oh, man. Huntsville, Alabama. 2 adults were arrested for a brawl at a buffet over crab legs. This story hits so close to home for me. Let me give you a quote real quick. These 2 people, I'm not going to show their faces because I don't like to do that with civilians. Like, we'll show celebrities and stuff, but I don't want to show civilians on here. You can get, it just, I wouldn't want someone to be doing it. So, apparently these 2 grabbed the tongs and were using the tongs as swords. Here's a direct quote from someone who worked there. Literally, as I sat down, this is from a patron of the restaurant. Literally, as I sat down and maybe took 2 bites out of my plate, there's a woman who's beating a man. People are moving around, plates are shattering everywhere. Everyone was saying they cut me in line, she cut me in line, he cut me in line, I was here first. They've been waiting for the crab legs for a good 10-20 minutes when they finally came out. It's very heated, especially if someone is taking more than their fair share. Dinner per plate is $10.58. It's actually pretty damn well. That's actually a really good deal. To have crab legs, that's a really good deal. Man, I see this all the time. Not only do I live in the deep south, but I also live where there's a ton of like seafood buffets, really high-end seafood buffets with a lot of crab legs, shrimp, crawfish, clams, mussels. Like buffets, we have tons of buffets. And so I see this all the time. Buffet etiquette is something I'm really big on. Buffet etiquette is super important. There's just some things you don't do, man. There's just some things, just a few etiquette things. You don't want to crowd somebody at a buffet. If I've got my plate right here, you don't want to come up on me. You don't want to be shoulder touching me. Give me some space. You don't want to jump somebody. If you're standing behind somebody and they're getting fried okra and you don't want fried okra, you want what's next to the fried okra, that doesn't give you the right to just jump that person. This isn't like a game of Monopoly where you just go step to step. You don't just pass the person up. You know what I mean? It's not a board game. This is real life. You don't jump somebody. You don't go directly to a thing. You've got to get all your way to the front. You go to the front of the buffet, and it's just a line. There's a conveyor belt. You can't customize your route. You can't go from your seat to the to the third thing from the end. You got to start at the front. Oh, and get a new plate every time. Don't bring your plate from your table to the buffet. I don't care what you're getting. If you're just getting one thing, get a napkin. But crab legs and seafood are really crazy. People freak out. I've been to some restaurants where I've seen people like push kids to get to the crab legs. Some people, and I guarantee you these people were the same way, they go to these buffets just for the seafood. So they're sitting there and they're watching these crab legs and they're going, when they put the crab leg, or these two are waiting, but people will be sitting in their seats going, well, I'm waiting until the crab legs come up. Then I'm going to go up there. I'm going to hammer these crab legs. What they don't realize is they have 6 to 7 people probably thinking the exact same thing. So when the crab legs come up, 6 to 7 people run up there, and then it's just a free-for-all. This is the Hunger Games. It's literally the Hunger Games. Literally the Hunger Games at a buffet. And, man, when it gets heated like that, it's really just kind of... It's really, at that point, just kind of up to Mother Nature to who survives. Really nothing else to say about that. There's not many laws whenever buffets kind of get to that primal state. It's just kind of whoever's got the sharpest weapon, really. But the things I don't get about buffets is when people do this with regular food. Or when people will get one plate, like their first plate, and they'll get a salad, but they'll basically put like 4 salads on there. And it's like, man, just go back. You can go back. That's just for a salad. That's not even for that's not even for crab legs. Or I've been to buffets where they have lobsters in the city where lobsters are on the buffet. And you want to talk about people freaking out. There's nothing worse than a glutton at a buffet. I would rather go back to the buffet 30 times than to make 2 big ass plates. It's just how you gotta have some couth at a buffet. It's already kind of gross that you're going to these human feeding troughs, where that's what it is. Let's not lie to each other. It's a human feeding trough, where people are just going up there and eating like animals. So it's already kind of embarrassing that we're eating like that, and we're not even using menus, and it's just all you can eat for one price. I mean, that's pretty disgusting. But then to just act like a total heathen, oh, that's just a whole nother level. That's an absolute whole nother level. My favorite thing to do at buffets, specifically brunch buffets, is to get hammered on champagne. That's my favorite thing to do. It's like one of my like pastimes. Friend of mine, he holds the record. He drank 15 glasses of champagne at one brunch buffet. And if he's listening, he knows who he is. And if he's listening, know that I'm proud of you. He drank the last 3 or 4 wearing sunglasses inside of a casino. All right, next story. Let's catch up with chat, shall we? I like catching up with chat in between stories. It's a good idea. Buffets are just nasty. Buffets can be nasty. The idea of them is nasty, no doubt about that. Sharpest pair of tongs wins. That's pretty much how this went, apparently. There are 2 types, the gross low end and the proper stuff. Yeah, 100%. 100%. You'll find some gross buffets, especially like in really small cities, they'll have like a Golden Corral or a Western Sizzler that isn't very kept up. Like the carpet's red, but the carpet's also from 1994, so it's disgusting. Yeah, there's those places. Those places, those places are basically feeding troughs. If you remember Barn Hills, there was a restaurant called Barn Hills. It's out of business now. You actually ate in a barn. The building was shaped as a barn. So if you already felt like an animal, but then they put you in a barn? An insult to injury, man. Yes, that is true. The high-end ones are very fun. Oh yeah, no doubt. All you can eat $3 Chinese buffets. See, Chinese buffets, I don't think there's no difference in a high-end Chinese buffet and a low-end Chinese buffet. I've eaten Chinese buffets, swear to God, I've eaten Chinese buffets and Chinese restaurants where the family lived in the restaurant. There was kids and dogs walking around. There was a guy watching like TV. Like his living room was the east side of the restaurant. And the food was amazing. Chinese buffets are all the same. I worked at a liquor store when I was in college. And the shopping center over was this little Chinese buffet restaurant grocery store. It had the best 3-meat combo, the 3-meat 2-side combo. And man, I got a feeling their health regulations were not up to par. I got a sneaky feeling they didn't get an A. I got a sneaky feeling they didn't get it. They might not have even got a letter. They may have been in the numbers. They may have got like a 46%, and you have to get like 100% before you can graduate to the A's or the B's or the C's. They were in like that low 40%. The floor was just like that cement floor that people's driveways are sometimes, just like dusty floor. But man, they're two meat, two side, 3 meat, 2 side. Their honey mustard chicken. Whoo! Damn. They didn't even have a name. They didn't even have a name for their store. They just had a sign that said Chinese food. They didn't have a name. It was just Chinese food. That's it. And you walked in there, they had like 2 grocery aisles of like Chinese imported foods, like cup noodle type deals. Then they had an actual eatery with some lady cooking meat in the back. Delicious. Truth preach. My favorite Chinese buffet is in the ghost town in the middle of nowhere. The best Chinese is the most expensive. They needed that new grading scale. They needed the grading scale from the previous podcast. They needed to be graded on a curve. Chinese buffet should be graded on a curve. Last story. Johnny Manziel. Bad news. Johnny Manziel has been released from the Montreal Alouettes. I took French in college. I actually have a minor in French. The Montreal Alouettes. The Alouette. I can't speak French at all, though. I don't even know if I can count to 10. But he's been released. So they released him because he apparently broke one of the clauses in his contract. And they're not going to say what the clause is, and I'm not going to allege what the clause could be. But if I had to guess, you know what I mean? Now on the radio, or if you're not watching the show and just listening to it, I can understand where you'd be a little confused on what that sound was. No, I wasn't giving sexual favors to a midget. That was drugs. I wasn't the lead actor in a midget porno right there. That's not what that sound was. That was the sound of smoking. All right? I just make myself really damn clear. But anyway, so he got cut, and he is also barred from signing with any of the other teams. That was part of his clause, I guess. This probably came as a pretty big shock to Johnny Manziel, mostly because he realized he still was actually playing in the Canadian Football League. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that Johnny Manziel had no clue he was playing in the Canadian Football League. I think he thought it was like a 2-game deal. I think he thought last year he was going to go play for like 2-3 games and then he'd just go back home. When he got the phone call that he was still under, like when they were like, "Hey Johnny, this is the Montreal Alouettes," or I guess bonjour, because they speak French. Did they say bonjour? I don't know, but I don't know how I got on that. But they called him and said, "Johnny, look, you're released," and he's like, "Who the hell is this?" "It's the Montreal Alouettes." "Yeah, who the hell is this?" "Damn it, Johnny, we're the team you play for in the Canadian Football League." "What? Is this a prank call?" There is no way Johnny Manziel thought he would ever go back to that league. Zero way. But he needs to play. He has got to play for either the Alliance of American Football League or the XFL. 100%. He is. You want to talk about marketability? You want to talk about bringing people to the seats? Him. Oh man, if he was playing for some team in the AAF, those ratings would skyrocket. They'd probably get like a 2, probably not even right now. They're probably getting a 1. They're probably getting a 0.5 on most games, probably not even that much. But Johnny Manziel would, let's say they're getting a 1. And I'm being super generous. Let's say they're getting a 1 on these games. Johnny Manziel, Big Johnny Manziel would probably boost it from a 1 to probably close to a 6. Maybe not that. That's a lot. Maybe. It'd be close. Somewhere between 4.5 and a 6. If he plays a game in the AAF, we'll do some kind of bet. We'll do some kind of wager on what the difference will be from that team's previous game to the first game he played. It's going to be huge. It's going to be absolutely huge. But Johnny Manziel, is he good at football? Not really. Not really. Not anymore. You can only go to so many music festivals before you just can't play football anymore. Bottom line. They just don't match. But is he good at drawing attention? Is he good at getting people to watch? Is he good at getting butts in the seats? Hell yeah, he is. Hell yeah, I would watch. I watched his first Canadian Football League game. I didn't even know it was coming on, but I was actually at a bar about a couple blocks from where I live, and they put it on. I am in the dirty South, and they flipped it on to a Canadian Football League game in a bar because Johnny Manziel was playing. But guys, that is the show. I feel really good about that. I felt like a strong show, good show, enjoyed the show. Really fun chat interaction, all good stuff. I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as I did. That was probably the longest show we've done. I feel like it was the longest show we've done. Maybe not. But who knows? What do they say? Time flies whenever you're having fun or something. So thank you all very, very much for hanging out, chilling with the podcast. I hope you enjoy it. This will be released on Thursday night probably. It will go live on YouTube. But I got a feeling a lot of YouTube listeners will listen to it on a Friday morning. So have fun. Enjoy yourself on this Friday. Remember, this is Mardi Gras weekend. So, baby, if you're celebrating Mardi Gras, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Which, take that for however you want to interpret it. But it is what it is, guys. Thank you very much. Again, this has been another episode, another 10 out of 10 episode of the James Skrmetta Show.